So we're going to talk a bit about consent and its relevance, because obviously it is important. I mean, it's not something that necessarily want to talk about, but something you should talk about, just because it's kind of relevant, especially for I guess a minority of guys out there who maybe aren't so well versed on this stuff, and they can potentially run into problems. It's just worth talking about on a channel like this, I think, because obviously that you don't want to be so caught up on the mainstream narrative of kind of like demonizing anyone who kind of speaks to it, so much as makes eye contact or speaks to a woman. But at the same time, you do want to be sympathetic towards the girl situation, and just come across as a cool guy, really. So I think it's just a topic that should be talked about, I think. I guess there's like various times where the issue of consent will come up throughout the whole dating process. So obviously when it comes I say that the main ones are where you're actually talking to the girl on the first time, like whether it's a cold approach on the street. She's going to perhaps maybe show some signals of disinterest, and so you need to kind of calibrate and figure out whether it's best for you to leave or just to plow on and continue. That's one aspect of consent, I guess. And then the second one, which is like the bigger one, is getting the girl back to your place. Because she might want to, she might not necessarily want to that much. I guess like the main thing is just to be sympathetic. It's a balance between being sympathetic, not being too overly pushy, but at the same time showing enough persistence to actually make it happen if both parties are actually on the same kind of perspective, actually want it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. There's a lot of tricks out here. I agree, Ed. Consent is so important, and it has to be win-win, and you don't. It's a fine balance of slightly persisting, but only if you want to look at what women's actions are, and obviously listen to their words, because if a girl says no, like no with her words and her body language, you have to listen to that and then respect it, and not it's kind of like you have to calibrate, basically.
Yeah, I think obviously if it's like a hard no, that means no. No
just
means
no. No means no.
No, obviously. But sometimes it can be said in a kind of flirtatious way, where it's like you're reading past that and you're sort of thinking, actually, well, she's saying that, but does she actually mean it? And then it's actually there's potential to push a bit further, and actually she wants you to. Yeah. But obviously she's not going to actually kind of verbalize that. And obviously as guys, we're less socially and emotionally intelligent as girls in comparison, and so sometimes we miss those signals because it's not like laid out clearly for us. It's really about kind of a balance, but being quite sympathetic and not being so kind of results orientated, where like you get a girl out, if you're on a date with her, you've spent a certain amount of time with her, and then it's like, yes, we must have sex now. You can't have that mentality. It's got to be.
No.
It's got to be like you got to be okay with with that not happening, and just being okay with with her circumstances or what she actually wants as well.
Yes.
Because and ultimately, like, okay, you're on a date with a girl, she doesn't want to have sex with you. You don't want to force it anyway, because if you were to force it, the sex is going to be bad anyway. It's going to be
it's going to be shit.
Like, why would you want that? And that's another thing. With me, like I don't force things
There's no
too much.
consent. You can't do that anyway.
And maybe force isn't quite the right word, but let's say persuade. Let's say you're quite pushy and you're like really trying to persuade the girl to come back to your place. If her heart isn't in it fully, is the sex going to be that great? Probably not. That's kind of like the way I see it. Like, she's really got to want it herself, I think.
That's true.
And that's another thing, like a lot of guys, they use things like plausible deniability to get the girl back to their place, which is okay, and yes, it can work sometimes, and it has its place, I think. But ultimately, I'd rather just be a bit more direct and straight up and honest with a girl, and just be like, not really playing games and stuff, and just be like, look, come on, let's go back to my place. It's okay if you don't want to, but I'm going to invite you anyway. You have the choice to come back or not. if you're feeling it, or if you're not feeling it, that's fine.
Just cutting the bullshit out.
Yeah, that's normally how I do it nowadays, anyways.
There's all these weird like excuses like, let's go back and see the dolphins from my room, or let's, I've got an amazing, I've got some shisha and all this bullshit. That's clearly bollocks. So yeah, I mean, it's a bit too gamey. So just be honest, like, let's just go to mine and chill somewhere else more comfortable. Whatever, she kind of knows what
like
you
sometimes
want.
you can just say to a girl, let's go back to my place, we don't have to have sex, because I've said that before, and sometimes we do end up having sex because she wants to, other times we don't because she just straight up doesn't want to, and she is genuinely thinking you're just inviting her to come back to your place, and then the next time she comes maybe you end up having sex, and you just have to be okay with that. Sometimes you do have to play the long game a little bit, and because not every girl is going to have sex with you on the first date. This is how it is. And you can't be forcing it. You can't. You don't want to be overly pushy.
The mindset you have to have is like, I would like to have sex, but I don't need it.
Exactly.
That's quite hard for a lot of guys to have that, internalize that, because obviously a lot of guys don't have abundance in their mind, so they're like really desperate.
I actually find that it's like there's two ways that can go down. When guys are in a position of scarcity with women, and they do finally get that woman out on a date, and they're having a good vibe with her, a good connection. It goes one of two ways. That they're overly pushy, they're overly like results focused, and they're like overly focused on getting that girl back to their place.
They're not actually present then.
Yeah, and it's kind of the wrong vibe. But it could be the other way as well, where they're not. They're being a bit too passive because they're fearful of fucking it up.
Oh yeah,
or like
that's
they're
true.
not pushing enough because they're worried about putting the girl off or not complying with the girl's wants or expectations or whatever, and then actually they end up just being in a very kind of flat kind of area and actually
boring,
in that kind of boring zone, and not actually being pushy enough, not pushing things forward, and that can actually end up being actually more risky than actually taking that risk to actually escalate with the girl a bit more.
Exactly. I mean, if she's coming out with you, like, there is some level of interest. You just have to assume the attraction already if she's on a date with you.
Exactly.
But then just read the signals. Don't push. If she says no, just stop. Like, you have to stop, guys. And then
exactly.
But you have to calibrate and stuff. So
I mean, with the way I do dates is a very kind of step-by-step process. So first of all, it would just be like, chit chat, then it'll be verbal escalation, and then it'll be like light physical escalation, and then more like a bit more direct and a bit more not intense, but like a bit more kind of physical escalation, like holding hands and that kind of thing, my arm around her, and then I'll go in for the kiss. So it's like a gradual thing. She might pull away from the kiss, she might not be wanting to kiss on the first date or whatever, and then that's it could actually be because she doesn't want to kiss in public. So
that's actually fine. I've had it actually with chicks where, for example, I went for the kiss, and they initially like moved their heads, but then I was just like, I'm just like, yeah, that's fine, that's cool. Yeah, anyway, just continue talking as if nothing happened. I don't care.
But you also have to be like, normally you can tell when she's not wanting to kiss in public, because like if it's like a place where there's like a lot of people around, and they're facing you, then that could be the case. But if you're in a more of a secluded area where there's not very many people around, then actually going for the kiss, if she rejects that, then it could just be that she's just not ready for that at that moment.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean she doesn't like you,
no, it
doesn't want to see you again.
Yeah, guys with less experience read into these things. Oh, I went for it. Who cares if she didn't kiss you? I've had it where,
in my opinion, it's better to escalate.
Just try.
But do it like step by step. Don't just go full in. And obviously that's where consent comes in. Because if you do it like in a step by step approach, then you'll be able to calibrate and realize whether she's comfortable with.
Don't just sort of lunge in drum roll moment.
Yeah.
But I've had it with girls where I tried to kiss them, they didn't do it, and then I said let's go to mine, or let's go to yours, whatever. They said okay, and then you can still do it anyway with them.
Yeah.
So they were just shy in public, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So guys.
I think the main thing really, is just don't be overly pushy. It's really about finding that balance where you're being a bit persistent to push things forward in a normal dating context, but like not being overly pushy where you're making her uncomfortable, and you're just not doing things right, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, so just listen, look at her body language. Is she comfortable? If not, and she say no, just leave it. Just stop, guys, and then yeah, you shouldn't be feeling needy anyway. You should already be having abundance anyway. So you don't really need it. You would like to, but you don't need it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the point you want to get to, guys.
Cheers for watching. If you'd be interested in one-to-one coaching with me, where we'll go out in public and work on you approaching girls, or more generally with your social confidence, please visit my website ed-game.com.